Alright, so in this video I'm going to be going over the 3.1 to 3.2 quiz review. The first question wants me to decide whether each graph is discrete or continuous, and then state the domain and range. So in the first graph it's a bunch of points. This means it's discrete. For my domain, I'm just going to use curly brackets, and then I'm going to list out each of my individual x values for my points. So this one's at -3. My next one is at -1. My next one is at 1. And then I have another one at 2. For my range, this is my y value, so I'm going to go ahead, in order from least to greatest. I have a y value at 0, at 2, at 4, and at 5. So I'm going to close that off with a curly bracket. On B, this one is continuous because it's a solid line. My domain is my x value, so I start at this small point over here, which is -5. I want to use a closed bracket for my domain because the circle is closed. And then I'm going to use comma, and then it ends at 3, and I use a parentheses because it's open. So, at this point, I want to use closed brackets because it's a closed circle. And then over here, I want open parentheses because it's an open circle. My range here is my y value, so my low y value is -4. Again, I'm going to use the closed brackets because it's a closed circle. And then it goes all the way up to +4, which I'm going to use a parentheses because it's an open circle. Number 2, I want to fill in my table values, so I'm going to do f of -2. It's going to give me 5 times -2 minus 3. 5 times -2 is -10. Minus 3 is -13. I can do the same thing for 0. So 5 times 0 minus 3. I can also choose to type this into my calculator. So I type it exactly like I wrote it on the paper. 5 parentheses minus 3 gives me -3. Then I have the same thing for f of 10. So 5 times 10 minus 3. Which gets me 47. Okay, and then I have these next 6. I want to decide if they're a function or not a function. So if I take a look at my first one, I'm looking on my table of values to see if my x value repeats. It does. This one is not a function. X repeats. Or not x, -1. And I'm only looking at my inputs. If my outputs repeat, I don't care. On B, it's a graph, so I want to use the vertical line test. So I want to pass my ruler through this. This one touches only once, so it is a function. It passes the vertical line test. Over here, on my input-output chart, -1, or +1, I'm sorry, has 2 outputs, so not a function. On D, I want to use my vertical line test. I have 2 points right there at 2, so this is not a function. It fails the vertical line test. On E, this is a function. Each input has 1 output. On my table of values, no x's repeat, so it is a function. And then my last question, find the value of x given that f of x equals 2x minus 5 when f of x equals 25. So because I have the equal sign in here, I want to set equal to my equation. So I have 23 equals 2x minus 5. And then this is just like an algebra problem we were doing at the beginning of this beginning of last year. So I want to add 5 to both sides. It gives me 28 equals 2x. Then I want to go ahead and divide both sides by 2. I get x equals 14.